Hi everyone, thanks for visiting my channel. I hope you guys are having a great day. It is Friday, so it's Friday night fun food for us. But in the last two videos, I've been sharing with you how to make homemade sauerkraut. And then I promised you I was gonna show you some ways to use it. So tonight, with it being Friday night fun food, we're gonna do homemade pizza. I'm gonna be using homemade sourdough pizza crust. Since we recently did, I talked about doing sourdough. I've got my sourdough starter going really well, so I've been using it to make the delicious sourdough bread that I shared with you. And then today, I thought we'd just go ahead and make some pizza crust with it. So we have sourdough pizza crust that I made earlier today. Once it had its rise time, then I went ahead and shaped it into two balls and put it in the refrigerator, and then I pulled it out of the fridge about an hour ago to warm up a little bit. So that's where we are with that. And the other thing that I do homemade for pizza is I make my own sauce. I use a quart jar of my home canned tomatoes, which I have shared with you all how to do that. And then to that, I just add a 6-ounce can of tomato paste. I add some delicious seasonings. I use 2 tablespoons of seasoned salt, 2 teaspoons of dried oregano, 1 teaspoon of powdered roasted garlic, and 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and 1 teaspoon of dried basil, and a pinch of red pepper flakes, and I will leave all this in the description box for you. So anyway, we're kind of doing a pantry meal here. We've got the homemade pizza crust, we have homemade sauce that we've made, and we're going to use our delicious sauerkraut. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring you in close so you can see a little bit better me putting the pizza together. Like I said, I've already taken my crust out. I went ahead and tried to spread it out. If you find that your crust is wanting to shrink back, then you'll just let it sit for another 15 minutes or so. Warm up a little closer to room temperature, and then you should be able to spread it out. And that's what I was doing before I started my camera, is just testing it to see if it's ready. So it is ready now, and so is my sauce. We're also going to use some Italian sausage and some delicious cheeses. So I'm going to bring you in close and show you how to put it together. Okay guys, here we go. The other thing I forgot to mention to you is I do have my oven preheated to 475 degrees, and we're going to be putting the pizza on the bottom rack. So I'm going to be using my Lodge cast iron pizza pan. I really enjoy using this. If you don't have one, you need it. You guys know how much I love my cast iron. So anyway, like I said, here's our crust, and it's very spreadable now. So we're going to just shape it into the size that we want it. I have a little hole in the middle here. My husband likes his crust pretty thin, so we're going to spread it out fairly thin. And that looks pretty good. If you want a really thick crust, you can not divide your sourdough pizza crust in half like I did and just use the whole thing, and you'll have a nice thick crust. Or you can just make a smaller pizza. So we've got that, and then we're going to add some of the homemade sauce. I like to leave ours a little bit chunky. As you can see, I just kind of crush my tomatoes up and then add the tomato paste and my seasonings. So we're going to go ahead and spread that on. I don't use a ton of sauce, but I do like it chunky. Those fresh tomatoes on there are just fantastic. Some people par bake their crust. If you want to do that, you can do that. I typically do not do that. It's kind of up to you. Let's get that all spread out nice and evenly. Okay, and then what I like to do is just put on a little thin layer of cheese. Not too much, but a thin layer, and I'm just using shredded mozzarella at this point. Then I'm going to add my Italian sausage. If you don't groove on Italian sausage, you could always use kielbasa or smoked sausage here. Just chop it up and use it instead, but I'm going to be using Italian sausage tonight. We love Italian sausage. And I'm using about 1/2 pound of the Italian sausage. And then okay, and now we are going to add our delicious sauerkraut. Now I am using the fresh kraut. I'm not using the one that I canned. So we're just gonna sprinkle some of that on there. Draining off the juice. You really don't want any of the juice here. It might make your crust soggy. So just kind of drain off your juice a little bit as you're taking it out of your jar. And put on as much as you want. A little bit goes a long way, but if you really like the sauerkraut, you could even skip the sausage and just totally do a sauerkraut pizza. Be delicious. And the wine in there, you guys, oh my goodness. The wine kraut is just delicious. I hope you will give that a try because it is so good. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. So now I'm going to spread a little bit. This is freshly shredded. It's not grated. I shredded some fresh pecorino romano cheese and some fresh parmesan cheese. Put a little bit of that on for some nice sharp flavor, and then we're just going to top the whole thing off with some more yummy mozzarella. My husband loves lots of cheese, so we're going to make it cheesy. And I'm using about 2 cups total of the mozzarella. Kind of spread everything around. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm gonna pop it into my preheated 475-degree oven, and we're going to bake it off until our crust is nice and crispy on the bottom and all of our toppings are warmed through and the cheese is ooey gooey melty and is a little bit browned. Okay guys, my pizza baked for about 20 minutes. You just want to have the cheese nice and gooey and golden brown on top, and you want your crust to be nice and crispy on the bottom, or at least that's the way we like ours. So once I took it out of the oven, I let it sit on the pan for about another 5 minutes just to make sure the bottom of the crust was really crispy for us. And then I sliced it, and then have been letting it cool, and it's been sitting here for about another 5 minutes. So I'm going to show you. My kitchen smells amazing. Isn't that beautiful? So let's give it a taste and see how we did. That is incredible, you guys. Try to pick if you're going to use the sausage, use a sausage, an Italian sausage that has a lot of fennel in it. That fennel complements the sauerkraut so well. If you have an Italian sausage that doesn't have fennel in it or not enough, I would recommend sprinkling your pizza with some extra fennel because the fennel in the sauerkraut is just amazing. The sauerkraut is just heavenly on pizza. I know it seems strange, but it is actually quite good. So I hope you'll give it a try. Like I said, this is, in my mind, a pantry meal. We made sourdough pizza crust, and you can see I used my cast iron skillet and it got nice and golden brown on the bottom. It's crispy. It has nice air pockets in there. It's just so good. Just absolutely makes delicious crust. So if you haven't tried making sourdough, I encourage you to get a starter going and just go crazy baking with it because it is just amazing. And like I said, I used whole wheat flour to get my starter going, and it has just been amazing. I haven't had any issues with it at all, and it tastes heavenly. So we used the sourdough pizza crust. I made homemade sauce from crushed tomatoes that I had in my pantry, and than the homemade sauerkraut. So it's just a great meal, and I hope you will give it a try. I have a couple more sauerkraut recipes coming your way, so I hope you'll stay tuned, and I hope you have a great evening. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.